And here today we run into a bit of an issue with this whole immediate reaction series that I have here. When a movie is really quite good, it's more difficult to talk about. Because it's easier to go off on emotionally fueled tirades and rants about a movie that's just straight up fucking terrible than it is about a movie that's actually quite good. Because they affect you in different ways. No matter what it is they're doing, no matter what emotions it is that the filmmakers are going for, they're going to hit you, the audience, or me, the reviewer, in different ways, and they're going to garner different responses. And certain responses are more in favor of ranting tirades than others. So basically, to sum this up here, Black Mass is really, truly quite good. It's easily the best movie I've seen with Johnny Depp in it for a while, and he in the movie is very, very good. I'm not going to go so far as to say that he's clinched himself an Oscar, but I will, wager a guess that he has in fact clinched himself a nomination from, if at least the Oscars. You know, he'll get a lot of nominations for this movie because it's a very subdued performance from an actor that we've come to, not really expect subdued so much. And that's fine. It totally is. I love Jack Sparrow. I love Sweeney Todd. I love Johnny Depp when, he's in a good movie portraying an awesome character. He's a very unique, very iconic actor, and the things that he does, only really he can do. Like, could anyone else really have been Jack Sparrow? Could anyone else really have pulled off Sweeney Todd the way that we saw it? Could anyone else have been Finding Neverland? Edward Scissorhands, Ed Wood, Donnie Brasco, what's Edie Gilbert Grape? He is a very unique, very talented voice in Hollywood, and it's very nice to see him in a movie where he's doing something other than a character with a stupid fucking hat. So that by itself makes me love this movie. And then the fact that his performance is so controlled and so precise and so just subdued. Really, like, I could go on and on, but really it comes back to subdued is the best way to describe his character in this movie. And a lot of the performances are like that. There's some really good performances in this movie all around. If there's one complaint that I have to give, it's Benedict Cumberbatch's accent. I mean, it wasn't bad. Like, it wasn't overtly terrible. Like, Cumberbatch is very good in this movie. Just in the first scene when it's really important for him to really knock the accent out of the park, to really draw us into his performance and his character, it wasn't the strongest moment in the movie. I love Cumberbatch. Let me just make that crystal clear. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. This just wasn't his bestest performance to date, although it did get better as the film progressed. But everyone else, Joel Edgerton, man, I need to check out more of his stuff, because everything I've seen him in, he's pretty dang good, and he's kind of amazing here. And then there's the guy from Breaking Bad, the last season, I can't remember, Todd, I think his name was, the kind of slack-jawed hillbilly that kind of hooks up with him. I didn't even recognize him, actually, in this movie. My friend that I saw it with had to say that it was him. I thought it was Matt Damon for a minute, and he'll forgive me once you see the movie, because he does kind of have like a little Matt Damon thing going on. And I don't know if he's wearing a fat suit or if he actually put on the weight, but man, he looks so different than he did in Breaking Bad. So just kudos to that guy by itself, because I literally just rewatched Breaking Bad and I still didn't recognize him. So thumbs up, buddy. And yeah, so the cast is good. Now for the story. This movie is about American gangster Whitey Bulger, who is currently serving 2 life sentences plus 5 years, because when you're serving multiple life sentences, they definitely need to slap you with an extra 5 years in prison, and he's one of, if not the most violent gangster in our country's history, apparently. And the fun fact, The Departed is loosely based on his story. And that's really funny, because as I was watching this movie, I kept being reminded of The Departed, in a good way. Now, I know a lot of people, they like to hate on The Departed, but I actually really like that movie. I kind of get the points they're trying to make, but I really like The Departed, and it was kind of funny being reminded of this movie so much, and of The Departed so much as I was watching Black Mass. And then the first thing I said when I walked out of the theater, well, actually, no, the first thing my friend said, no, it was me. I briefly mentioned it in passing it to one friend, and there was 4 of us all together. And then as I joined the full group, they were talking about how this movie was the story of this man, Whitey Bulger, inspired The Departed. I'm like, holy crap, that's all I was thinking about. So if you see the movie, and you've seen The Departed, you'll probably feel that too, I guess, is the point I am attempting to make right there. And the reason why they're similar is because, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler, it's based on history, so if you know your history, you know this, and I think it kind of goes into it in the trailers. Whitey Bulger was an informant for the FBI. And basically what was happening is Whitey was using that immunity that he got from the FBI by turning in certain criminals. He used that immunity that garnered him in order for him to get away with other crimes. And while the FBI is so focused on these other people that Whitey is supposedly giving them information on, they ignore him so he can expand his thing. And they go into that in such a great way. I love the politics of this film, and the way that it portrays our criminal justice system is, especially considering the times that we live in, it casts our justice system in a very interesting light. And I don't want to say corrupt, because that's not the right word, but in a very manipulated in light, in a way that makes them feel like they're too focused on certain things that really don't matter very much. Race. And then focusing on those so much that they're missing much worse things that are out there, or things that are actually happening that are quite terrible, because they're so fixated on this one little detail that they just completely overlook the things that are really huge issues. And that's very clever storytelling. That's a very clever concept for a movie, and it was very enjoyable to watch. Now, the movie's not perfect. I've already complained about Benedict Cumberbatch, and let me just reiterate here. I like Benedict Cumberbatch. He is a great actor. This is just one instance of him not being as amazing as he could have been. There's a few other things. Like, the movie takes place over the course of 20 plus, if not just straight up 30 years. It's a long time, and there's a couple of points where it skips ahead 5 to 7 years, and I found those a little jarring, because they happen after things that are, fairly significant events in Whitey Bulger's life. I don't want to go into them because they're spoilers, but the fact that something fucking huge happens, a huge life-changing occurrence occurs to our character, Whitey Bulger, and then we skip ahead 7 years. It's not enough to make the movie bad. It's just annoying, because there's so much more story that could have been told there. So much more interesting things that could have gone into. And but what that means is this movie left me wanting more. That as awesome as this movie was, I'm looking at it and going, you could have been better. You could have gone into these other things. And so basically the movie left me wanting more. And is that a complaint? That's something I've thought about quite a lot. If a movie is so good that you want more of it because it teased around certain things, that almost feels like a compliment to me in a way. It depends on your tone and your inflection as you're saying, I was left wanting more. And in this case, I just wanted to know more about this guy. I wanted to see other aspects of his life. I wanted to see more of his background. And considering this is a historical drama, that's kind of a cool thing. I just realized, I thought of this right now. I had kind of the same feeling after Johnny Depp's last historic biopic, where he played John Dillinger. That was Johnny Depp, right? John Dillinger movie. What was it? Unwanted or Above the Law, Unwanted, Public Enemies. I had kind of a similar reaction to that one, where I just wanted more when the movie was over with, and so what if that's a complaint to you? That's a complaint here. If it's a compliment to you, it's a compliment. So I'm going to wrap this up here at 10 minutes and 15 seconds by saying that this is a very, very, very good movie that might leave you wanting more. And, you know, that's actually another good reason for another thing I just thought of right now, and that because this is a historical piece about some real things that actually happened, by wanting the audience to by leaving the audience in a position where they want more, you're encouraging them to go out and research what actually happened and find out on their own. So you know what? That is an amazing achievement for a movie in my book now, because it makes people want to go out and learn, to expand their horizons, to educate themselves. So that is awesome. This movie is awesome. Have a good one.